So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, coming all the way from the City of Angels, we've got actress, model, musician and dancer Amber Martinez. Amber, welcome to the show.
Hi, it's glad to be here. I'm so happy. I'm like really honored that you wanted to interview me.
Hey, do you know what? In the world of entertainment, people always, look at the the big superstars. But what I see is people like yourself that are working so hard, that are literally in so many shows and doing so well for themselves. And it's just an industry that is so interesting. And I like to hear a bit of the dirt, a bit of how life is for you in the way of making it through those streets paved with gold in Hollywood, as they say. So, for you, how is everything at the moment? Because it's a bit crazy in the US as well as the UK, but it's even got crazier in the US.
Yeah, like a couple of days ago, we had people storm our Capitol building. I was like, where is that from? I'm like, never thought I'd live to see that day happen. My thoughts and prayers are out for the other citizens in America itself in general right now. I think it's very disturbing times, but I feel like, that it will get better. I hope it will get better once, Biden comes to presidency.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. And I saw on the news today that Trump is not even going to go on the 20th of January. I guess he's going to be too busy crying in the corner.
Well, I think actually how it works is that the Secret Service would remove him if he refused to leave.
Yeah.
He'll either go gracefully or he'll go disgracefully, whichever will be. Both will be exciting to watch. So
you've been evicted out, and it's Biden's turn. Now I'm looking forward to that. I mean, everything with the pandemic as well. How are you keeping safe? How is everything where you are in the way of lockdown or how it's being managed?
Well, it's a bit difficult here. I think the city shut down numerous times. Now we're locked down really hardly. We can't go out after 10 p.m. anywhere unless it's like an emergency, or if you're going to get the pharmacy or to get pick up food from a restaurant and you're in a car, but you're not allowed to be out on the streets walking around or traveling anywhere really after 10 o'clock at night. Everybody's told to shelter inside. I got a lovely email from SAG-AFTRA that said the productions are ceasing and desisting for the next 5 weeks or indefinite time period. So that's an interesting one for the entertainment industry to have. So yeah, but I mean, it would be unfortunate because it was shut down this whole time and then just started back up in early October. And I was lucky I got 3 jobs in, and then they're like, we're shutting down again. And I was like, okay.
You know what? Everyone needs a Tom Cruise on their set to put everyone in their place and make it safer, and maybe more productions can go ahead. But it is shocking, isn't it? I think that with the pandemic affecting all work, don't get me wrong, I think it's a great time for people to take a step back and look at the industry, look at the shows that have been put out there. And I think it's giving people more time to be more creative, come up with ideas and plan for that moment when this pandemic has gone and we can actually get back to work. It's going to be amazing times. So let's talk about you and where you came from, because obviously I've been doing my research like I do on every guest. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I know the internet is not always the most reliable place to get information. So you were born in a small town. Hey, sorry, what was that?
On my IMDb, that's the accurate information.
Is it? Excellent. So you were born in a small town in Kansas.
Yes.
If you tell me that small town is called Smallville, I will absolutely go crazy, because obviously it's the home of Superman.
That would be amazing.
I know. So what took?
It's small like small town, so how does that sound? Yeah, I'm a real superhero.
Oh, bless you. So what makes a girl from a small town in Kansas, go all the way to LA, to the City of Angels, to compete? And when I say compete, that's what it looks like to me. It's such a big pool, and it's so daunting. You are so brave and so amazing to actually enter that pool of them sharks, as they say. What made you go from Kansas all the way to LA?
I just like so I was in a relationship with someone and they got a job out here in LA to work for this company called Playdom because they used to design and engineer video games. And I was like, oh, he had been out here for a year. And I was like, no, I'm going to stay here in Kansas. And then I was like, no. I moved to Michigan for a little bit and I was a TV host. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'll follow him out here, because I love him and we're in love and it's going to be amazing. And everything's gonna work out, and we're gonna end up having babies in California together. And of course, it didn't work like that. So
Oh, bless you.
I was
So,
like, okay.
so,
And
so you're so. Go on.
oh, I'm sorry, the audio didn't connect. What were you saying?
No. Go ahead.
So before I moved here, I had already like went to college, and then oh my god, I'm aging myself right now. So I had already gone to college, and I had been TV hosting from 1998 to 2002 at the same place, TPS Television, and then I went to college for television and digital media production. So I was like fully prepped, and I'm like, I'm gonna go here because I can do this. I've been doing this like basically my entire life. Before that, I was trained in dancing. I was dancing since the age of 3, and I was trained singing since I was 7. And I actually started learning singing from my grandmother, who was a trained opera singer, and she performed in like St. Petersburg and Russia and a bunch of other places. So I come from a very like musically talented, artistic family. From the small intermediate branch, but like everyone else in my family is either an attorney or works for the government or has some like serious job, and like except for and I'm like, and I don't like, that's what they consider. They don't consider my job to be like serious, but I'm like, but I've been really successful, mom. And she's like, oh yeah, okay. But my mom always encourages me, like when I get older, she thinks I'm gonna get what she considers to be like a real job and be like a doctor or an attorney or work for the government like everyone else in my family. And I'm like, no, that's not really on my plan. Like,
But thing is though, a real job is quite easy. It's 9 to 5. You just turn up and you go home. Being an actor and a performer, there is a lot more hoops and a lot more obstacles in the way to actually make it. So, but no, that's but why acting?
Oh, I'm sorry. Why acting?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been doing it my entire life, and I have a deep passion for it. And I feel like if I wasn't continuing my craft and to develop it every year, I learn something different. You have to keep advancing yourself, progressing yourself in your career. You can't just stay flat and stagnant. So I always find it very exciting and thrilling, and like for some reason, like whenever I get a job and I go on set, like I know that's the place I'm supposed to be. Like how everyone knows, like when somebody has like when they're a doctor and they love being a doctor, they know they're meant to be a doctor. They feel the most comfortable on that, and then I feel the most comfortable on set and in front of a camera because I've been doing it like my entire life since I was like 15 years old. So but yeah, I'm a very talkative young lady from Kansas, I guess. So to me it didn't seem very scary when I got in the car to start driving. But when I was about 200 miles into my journey from across the country, it became very scary. I'm not gonna lie. It was like it became very real. I was like, what am I doing? Like,
But it's
and then
nice because you've always got a home to go back to, I presume. You can always go back.
yeah, well, I've been in LA since 2008, so I'm pretty much here to stay.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
So grown up in Kansas and looking to move to LA and getting into acting. Who did you look up to? Who did you see as your sort of your end goal, the person that you wanted to be like?
Oh my gosh. So I like I grew up watching like my mother is a reverend, so I wasn't allowed to watch like half the movies that existed when I was younger. So I grew up watching primarily like Julie Andrews and Meryl Streep and Disney movies and um movies that were with like Roma Downey Jr. and like Dame Judi Dench and like all the classic actresses and actors and Hugh Grant and everybody that I consider to be excellently talented actors. So it actually helped me because I used to study, all these extremely talented actors by watching them on videos over and over again. And I think I watched The Sound of Music like 110 times growing up. Like, because I thought Julie Andrews was like one of the most amazing actresses. And yeah, like Meryl Streep movies on reruns. And I used to have the biggest crush on Hugh Grant growing up, which was like crazy because I think I was like 15 when he was like 37 or something like that.
well, to be fair, one of my first crushes was Mary Poppins, which is really odd. Yeah, so Julie Andrews as Mary Poppins.
I know.
So what's been the best?
Peter Pan, wasn't she?
Hey, what's that? Sorry.
Wasn't she also Peter Pan at one point?
Was she?
I think she
I'm
played
not
Peter
sure.
Pan.
She may have
or
done,
it might
to
be
be honest.
I'm sorry, Julie Andrews, if that wasn't you. My whole life, my apologies. I'm upset.
So what's the best thing about living in LA and being in the industry for you?
I think the best thing about being LA and being in the industry is that you're close to everything. You can get jobs easier. You can go to and from work easier. I live in, well, actually, I probably shouldn't say where I live. I live central to the studio. Yeah. I live central to the studios because it maximizes the getting to work faster, but it also minimizes the amount of time you have to get to work. So you get more time to yourself. So if you get those crazy, like late, like early call times at like 2 and 3 and 1:45 a.m. like I get very often for early morning sunrise shots, or sometimes I'll get night calls and I'll have to be on set at like 11:30 at night, and then I work until like 9:30 in the morning or 1 p.m. in the afternoon the next day. So you have to like really want to act in the industry, because once you get on set, like you're not leaving for 16 or 18 hours a day sometimes. So you have to like really want to be in the industry and be comfortable and be accepting of everyone's attitudes after like 12-hour time period blocks, because there's so many different personalities on set. And you just have to be like a very balanced person. So I think it's really great living in LA because you get to absorb more experience. It's easier to book more jobs. And not only that, it's like this is really the central hub for most of the movies like in the world. I mean, there's production studios around the world, don't get me wrong, but this is Hollywood. This is where like most of the giant metropolis of studios are located. So like if you want to act, this is where you should come for sure.
And what's the downside of living in LA? What is the dirty secret, the people that the things that LA don't want you to know about?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I should say that.
Come on, be honest.
Well, Some areas are not nice to live in, and you should definitely do your research about the area you want to live in and what is safest. Because there's some areas that look really safe and they're really not, like the exact opposite. Like like there are some areas where when I first moved here, I'm like, oh, this looks so nice. There's palm trees, the yard looks kept, and then you turn the corner and there's like bars on every home's windows and like giant gates with barbed wire around them. And you're like, what the heck happened? Like it's so starkly different the way of living is from one block to the next. Like it's crazy.
A bit like the scenes from Boys in the Hood. Like you go round,
Yeah,
and it's like, oh no, I'm on the set. I'm on the set.
you drive like 2 blocks down and it's like barbed wire, like bars over their windows, and you're like, why do people need like wrought iron bars over their windows? It's like, so yeah, definitely, definitely research the areas that you want to live in before you live in them if you decide to move here.
Note taken. So auditioning. Do you like auditioning or do you not like auditioning?
I love auditioning because you get to meet new people and make new contacts. And then if the audition doesn't go really well, you can always ask the casting director, like, what notes they have. Maybe you used the wrong eye line, or, maybe your Irish accent wasn't that amazing. That's what I got told the first time I tried to do an Irish accent, like 7 years ago.
To be fair, though, a lot.
Good Irish accent right now, though. I can do it all day long and call people on the phone and they get confused. I call my mother constantly and I prank her with this Irish accent. And I tell her that I'm a missing person once. She got really freaked out.
That's just mean. That is just mean. But at least you could do an Irish accent.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Americans, for some reason, when they do an American accent, they sound Scottish, which I think is really bizarre.
Yeah, it's really strange. I don't know why they do that, though. I don't. No,
well,
but
it's sort of similar.
I took the Paul Meyer does really good voiceover training classes for accents and dialects, and that's what I took. So if anybody's looking for some accent and dialogue studying, visit paulmeyer.com.
Well, it's obviously paid off. Yeah, it obviously does. So Amber, what drives you? What really drives you to keep going forwards within this industry?
I think what drives me is, I have a big passion for doing what I do. I genuinely love it. I have if I'm not working, I get upset. Like I feel like I'm not myself, So what drives me is because I feel the most comfortable on set, and I want to always better myself and push myself forward and further my craft, and I want to become like better than I am. I want to become a better being at my job. And what drives me is because I want to ultimately pursue my goal of getting an Oscar. And I know I'll do it. It may take a couple more years, but I'm definitely going to do it. So you hear that, everyone? It's going to happen.
So would you say that that's how you measure success, is that recognition of that Oscar?
No, I don't think so at all, actually. People asked me before what I think success to be. I mean, that is just one of my personal goals. That's why I said, you said, what are you achieving? I said, that's one of my goals. But success is many different things. There's different levels of success. Success to me is like, some people may overcome a sickness. That's a form of success. Or they may be able to get a job and provide for their family, and they weren't able to do that before. That's also, to me, a form of success. So I think it just stipulates what you're trying to achieve, or what your goals are, or what you're trying to do. For me, one of my main goals is I want to eventually win an Oscar. So I want to always be driving myself forward, pushing myself forward, taking roles that will push me forward to become and achieve more than what I am right now. I always want to be moving forward in my career and like breaking some sort of boundary I didn't break before. So another form of success, I think, to me, is to be who you truly are inside and accept yourself for who you are. That's the ultimate form of success.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, the thing is, success. You can measure it. With awards, or you can measure it with happiness, or success for everyone, I suppose, is completely different. I mean, my success is being a good dad to my girls, and making sure that they grow up as strong, independent women. That's not going to
See, that's
take any
perfect. That's
nonsense.
great success.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you deal with rejection? Because auditions come and go. You don't get the parts. Um, you know, which happens. To be honest, a lot. With auditions. But how do you actually manage that rejection side? Do you get up quite quickly and easy?
Oh yeah, I mean, you like when I first moved out here, I got sad the first two times, but then I realized how many people are auditioning for the same role? Like, don't be dumb, Amber. Like, like not everybody not everyone can play every part. So now, ever since I had that realization, it's like I just take everything with a grain of salt. Sometimes you go in and they love your personality and they love the way you perform the role, but then they're like, we're really looking for a really bright redhead, and I'm only an auburn redhead, which only shows in the sunlight and really bright lighting.
But you can
Or
dye
they'll
your
be like,
hair. You can dye it.
yeah,
You can make it bright.
I was born a strawberry blonde with blue eyes, and then they
Yeah.
just turned to bluish green and got a dark brownish auburn red. So it was really weird. It's like God was like, "No, we're changing this up a bit."
What's the most extreme thing that you've done for an audition? In preparation of going to an audition, you talking about eye color and your hair. Have you dressed a certain way or?
Okay, one time, I don't know why I did this, but one time when I was really young, I was I'm still I don't know why I'm telling this story. It's so embarrassing. When I was really young, I had an audition to play a ninja assassin female when I was when I was 24. So I decided to go to the audition dressed in cosplay like a ninja assassin.
Yes.
And I thought this is really good because they're going to be able to visualize me in this role. And I showed up and everyone looked at me like, what are you doing?
But you stood out. You peacocked your way through that audition.
I did. They remembered me. And you know what? They called me in for another audition a week later and I booked a job from them.
But that's the thing, isn't it? So many people are, all audition and they're looking for the same sort of person. So it's a thing about being remembered and actually getting their eye.
Yeah. So, if you're a nerd like I am, I love cosplay and comic books and movies and stuff, so I felt really proud
Excellent.
going in there. I felt a little unproud leaving though, because people had given me such weird stares that were also auditioning for the same role. But it obviously worked out in my favor because I got booked by the same people for a different role the following week. So
There you go. There you go. It obviously worked. So let's talk about this Marvel series that's coming out in the matter of days. There is a lot of talk about it. It's WandaVision, with Paul Bettany in, and it looks fantastic. And you're actually in one of the episodes. If you could talk about any inside scoop or your experience of working on the show, that would be fantastic.
I can talk about my experience. I can't give you any insider details though, because I
That is
signed
fine then.
non-disclosure agreements.
Oh, them NDAs.
Yeah. So, do you want me to start from the moment I was casted and I had no idea
Yes.
I was even working on the show?
That's how
okay.
secretive they must be then.
Yeah, no, it had code names and everything. It was very
Wow.
secretive. So, I got a message on my phone from one of the people who was doing casting, and he was like, "Hey, so you know how like when you're an actor and you fill out all the things you can do for different casting directors and stuff, and you send them the list of your skills and your resume or whatever, and they keep it on file. So I have like a lot of skills normal people probably wouldn't have, and one of them happens to be like performing certain circus acts. So I got this message and they're like, oh, hey, you know, we know that you have this, you know, that you perform circus acts. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, which one are you looking for? And they're like, well, we need a circus hula hoop performer. And I was like, oh yeah, I have lots of hoops. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we are you available on these days? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, well, what production is this for? And they're like, oh, well, we can't tell you, but we need you to go get COVID tested like tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So I went and I got the COVID test with the uncomfortable, like, you know, giant nasal swab thing that they have going on. And like, I went in there and like there was like nurses dressed like the pandemic with like a face hood thing on and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was done out in the middle of nowhere by a factory. So like they really went to great extents to hide where everybody was going at all times. And I got back and then I was like, okay. And so I went to go get fitted like the day after that at Western Costume. And I went in and I'm thinking like, you know, I'm going to have like a regular circus outfit and, you know, I'm like going to be performing and during this amazing scene. And I get in there and I'm like, they're like, oh, here's your outfit. And I was like, oh, and it was like this super sexy, like tight red sequin, black, like, you know, corseted thing. And then I had gold fringe on the bottom, like old school, you know, like old school sexy thing, like, you know, sexy circus performer. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to look really, you know, fantastic on screen. I get to be the hot one, you know? And so I get the address and I'm like driving and, you know, a couple days later to set and I'm like, oh, I've never been to this place before. What is this? You know? And they're like, oh yeah. So they gave me the code name and everything to give to what the PA when I go to drive. So I'm going there and I'm getting on set and I'm approaching it. And I find out that it's like the Disneyland, like Gold Oak Ranch. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm working for Disney. So then my excitement starts building up and building up and building up. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, I better like, I'm supposed to, you know, start like my scene and all my performance and everything in a couple hours. I better like practice, you know, because I'm going to be in a Disney show. And then I sit in the chair and I'm like getting my makeup done and everything. And then the makeup artist is like, well, don't you know that you're booked for WandaVision? And I was like, what? I'm like, I'm acting on WandaVision? And I'm like, nice. Me? Little girl from Kansas, of all people? Like, you know, this is amazing. I love Paul Bettany. Is he here? Like, I was freaking out. I was so excited. I was so excited. Then everything became like ridiculously overexcited for me. I was like, oh, there's the lunch truck. Oh my God, there's my hair and makeup station. You know, I'm like, oh, look, that's the holding area for me. I'm so excited, you know? Like stuff that would not be as exciting on a regular set became like 100% more exciting. So the costumer put me in my outfit and the makeup artist did my makeup and I came out and I didn't know what I looked like, right? So I thought I was like, oh, I'm very circusy. I must have a face painted face and stuff. And like they showed the mirror to me and the makeup artist goes, oh my God, you look exactly like Linda Carter. You look like Wonder Woman. And I was like, oh my God, like I do.
Awesome.
And so I was so excited. I'm like, that was one of my dreams to play Wonder Woman. And I was like, Gal Gadot obviously held that ship down, but I got to be Wonder Woman for this episode.
That is awesome.
So then I got, yeah, right. So then I got out on the set and I was like, oh, I'm like, okay. So the makeup artist thinks I look like Wonder Woman. I'm like, oh, that was a super huge, like, compliment. And I'm like, I'm going to practice. So I start practicing my act with all my hoops and everything on the side. And then like, as I'm practicing, like there's all these different crew members and stuff like coming around, like watching me practicing and everything. And I'm like, okay, like I'm not performing right now. I'm just like, I'm trying to really focus on this. So I, you know, like don't hit myself in the face or drop a hoop or something on set. That would be embarrassing. And I'm like, So I'm doing this, and then I realize that they're like on their lunch break eating, like some of the crew are on their lunch break eating lunch while watching me like do my practice my performing. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then like the juggler comes out and he's like, I'm gonna practice too, because I don't want to mess this up. But I'm like, okay. So then the contortionist comes out and we're having like a mini circus performance, like
It's like the Great Showman.
prior to being on set. I know, right? Like hey guys, free circus performance. Like enjoy the show. So then I get out on set and like every single person keeps telling me, did anyone tell you look like Linda Carter? You look like Wonder Woman. And it was like, oh, thanks so much. And like, so I just to be fun with my performance, when I was doing all the different hoops and like throwing the hoops and like putting them around my waist and doing on my arms and like my wrists and my hands, I started doing one over my head and I was spinning it like it was a golden lasso. And then I switched it down and I put it on my waist and I was like running around and stuff. And everybody was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, I hope this looks good. And I was really, really nervous because I'm like, oh, it's Disney and I can't mess it up. And it's WandaVision and Paul Bettany's going to see this and Vinny's going to be here soon. And and this is going to be like really, big for me. And then like when I was done, it was silent for a second. And then everyone started clapping, like the entire crew and everyone started clapping for my performance. And I was like, oh my God, I felt like this, like, I was like, really?
But how did the actual shoot go? I mean, obviously that practice.
No, that was during like the shoot. Everyone, like, I was on set, like after the practice, I went to on set and I went onto the set and it was like it was a green screen because of COVID. So everyone can't, be by each other and there has to be all the social distancing. So you can see everyone else from like a distance while you're doing your bit on the green screen. And I was throwing my hoops and doing all that and performing and everything. And like, I performed like in front of like 5 different camera angles and doing my acting bit on screen. And then they were like, after I was done, it was like, oh, it got quiet for a minute. And then everyone was clapping. And I was like, oh, thank God it was good. Because like, you get I got so nervous when I knew it was at the Disneyland Ranch, but I was so excited at the same time. So it was like nervous and excitement fighting each other in my mind. And I'm like, no, Amber, you got this. You are great. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been booked by Disney and Marvel.
And what a great thing to have on your resume is, a Marvel project.
I know. I'm so excited. I hope to do another one. If they're casting for Power Princess, I would love to do that role, Marvel. I make a pretty good Linda Carter, and Power Princess was Marvel's version of Wonder Woman.
There you go, Marvel. Take notice. So let's talk. And you know what? I cannot wait for that series to come out. I really can't, because it's been a long time coming. They've been advertising it for so long. So I'm pleased to say Disney Plus is definitely going to be playing as soon as that gets released. So let's talk about red carpets, because on social media you're quite active, which is great to see. And you do a lot of red carpets. What's it like to attend?
I've been invited to a lot of carpets.
What's it like to go to a red carpet event?
I love everyone I work with and everyone I network with and everyone who invites me out. I'm very appreciative.
But what's it like to actually, to attend these events?
Oh, it's wonderful. So it's wonderful to attend really good coordinated red carpets. I should say that because a couple times I've attended non-coordinated red carpets and I've actually had like people who've seen me in movies, they're like touching me and like pushing me, like pushing through the bars. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But then I felt unsafe, I'm like, oh, I'm like, I love you too. Don't touch me, and I had a man push past security and stand next to me and put his arm around me on the red carpet, and I felt like very unsafe and very scared. And I was like, what is going on here? And the guy gets removed by security and he's like, no, everybody take a photo of us, take a photo of us. And I was like, I felt so bad that he had committed a crime coming on the red carpet that I just like took a picture and
Wow.
I was like, you earned your photo, but it was freaky. Like,
well, yeah, it's got to be scary for you. It's scary for you because you don't know who that person is. It could be one of these unstable individuals that have decided to make a name for themselves at a red carpet event.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people do really weird things before. Like recently I had someone trying to steal my performer name, like my actor performer name, and call them my name, which is really weird, but I have my attorney working on that. So that's what lawyers are for. But I mean, it's gotten pretty weird. Another time I had like a fan tell people that I was married to them and like try and make a news article. And he was like, that's my wife. She just doesn't tell anybody. And I was like, no, I'm not married, very not married. And that is not my husband.
Do you know what?
But,
I suppose if you're going to get a stalker or anything like that, I suppose that's a testament to your work and how famous you're becoming. But I can imagine it's going to be quite scary as well. But going on to social media, you know, obviously, as you're doing more work and as you're becoming more famous and your name is becoming better known, have you found your social media accounts changing in the way of, you know, fans?
yeah, well, right now I think I have like 47,000 fans on Instagram. But so funny you should say things about changing, because I had a person that was, you know, really creepy stalkery, and then they like hacked my Instagram account and removed like 15,000 fans, and then hacked into my Twitter and removed like 5,000 fans because I was like, please stay away from me, you know, like cease and desist your actions. And then all of a sudden, like I get a hack and I'm like, well, that's not really going to work, because if they notice that they're unfollowed from me, they're just going to add me back. It's just like a nuisance and weird, you know? I don't find it annoying. I find it quite sad and awkward. Like, you know? But I guess, like you said, I mean, I should feel flattered that somebody would want to sabotage me like that because I'm so successful. I guess it just seems strange to me. And my mom is just like, and my mom's always like in pastor mode, so she's like, we'll just pray for them, and you know, pray that they find peace in themselves, and you know, that they become aware of like what's really going on inside themselves, and that, you know, they can truly be happy with who they are eventually. So
Yeah,
my mom and I pray a lot for people who act like that. You know, I always have much love for people who have ambitions, but I don't have a lot of, you know, sympathy for people who try and stop other people's careers. I don't have empathy for that. I have empathy for people who are genuine and like strive towards their goals and do positive formations and not try to sabotage others, but try to support and uplift others. Especially, like, I like to support and uplift a lot of women too. So I work with a lot of battered women's shelters, and I like make a lot of donations for children who are survivors of domestic violence. And I also make a lot of donations to different children's charities. Like just this December, I donated toys to the Concern Foundation for children who are cancer patients that can't leave the hospital because of COVID-19 and have to stay confined to the hospital. So just to bring some joy and spread some happiness. You know, they have dreams, and they're entitled to their dreams too. And so I like to give them some happiness when they're going through some difficult situations.
Yeah, and the term "give more than you take," I think, is a wonderful term. That one of my idols, Christopher Reeve, that played Superman, that's what he lived by, and I completely agree with it. You know, give more than you take, and leave this world a better place than when you found it. So, but yeah, I mean that's that's the whole thing of the show, is being more super, being better people all around. So it's really nice to hear the charitable things that you're doing, which is great. So what's next for you before we wrap up this lovely interview? Obviously, we've got WandaVision. Anything else that you're working on that's in the pipeline that we might be able to see soon?
Yeah, I have a new movie coming out in June, hopefully in theaters. But
Yeah, fingers crossed.
they said June or July. The date keeps getting pushed, obviously, because of COVID for the release. We're really trying to get it in theaters. It's called Jack Be Nimble, and it's about you would like it. It's about gaming and it's like a comedy about gaming and senior retirement home, and Bai Ling's also in it. So she's
awesome.
a wonderful person. I've known her for I don't even know how many years, like a long time ago. I met her at one of the Producers' Choice Awards, I think it was 2016. So 5 years now almost.
Wow. So, yep. So June and July, Jack Be Nimble. Hopefully, as you said, in the cinemas, fingers crossed. And obviously, fans can follow you on Twitter and Instagram, and it's actually on the screen below your lovely face just there. You've got the links for all the fans to follow you, but only nice fans, not fans that are going to try and hack you.
Yeah. Only nice fans for sure. Yeah. But I mean, if they're not nice fans, they'll get prayers, so they'll have some positivity thrown their way anyway.
That is good. That is fantastic to hear. Amber, you've been a great guest. Thank you so much. You stay safe, and I look forward to episode 6 of WandaVision that you're in, and Jack Be Nimble in June, July. I'm sure I'll catch that and feature it on the show at some point. I might be able to ask you back again. It'll be lovely to get you back when we've got a bit more time and we can have a proper chinwag, as they say. Amber, thank you so much for being a great guest.
Oh, wonderful. I had an amazing time. Thank you, Brian.